So we can start now.
Yes.
Good morning, dear listeners. Welcome to the Agenda program, the program that comes your way every Friday and Monday at 9 hours to 10 hours. And today we are back talking at another important issue that affects you and me. And if you remember, in August, to be specific, on the 27th of August, the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Mr. Collins Nzovu, announced that the MOU has been signed for the transfer of water from Wapula to Kafiwe. And the government and Power China International Group signed the memorandum of understanding under which water will be transferred from Wapula River to the Kafiwe River. According to the minister, the MOU included the development of a comprehensive water plan for the Kafiwe catchment, transferring water from the Wapula River to the Kafiwe River, and addressing the medium to long-term water needs for national energy and food security. And he described the signing of the agreement as a landmark, and the minister said his government had taken a significant steps towards addressing the drought disaster and emergency declared 6 months ago. So on the August of 28th, 2024, they did sign that agreement. Of course, there are other stakeholders that have raised concerns, and of course, others have supported the idea. But among the stakeholders that have shared their views over the same agreement is Care for Nature. And in the studios, I have the executive director, Mrs. Insama Msonda Kens, who happens to be the executive director of Care for Nature. And let me welcome up to the program. Madam Kens, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mbolo, for hosting me to discuss this very important topic. And good morning to all the listeners and viewers who are following on Facebook.
Okay, so for a long time we had a discussion of this nature. Just share with us how far have you gone with your organization? What are some of the things that you have achieved as Care for Nature? As you, we can say, you look after the environment.
Thank you very much. And as we go into the details of the program, you allow me to mix with Bemba so
Yes,
that I
yeah.
also cater for the listeners who are in the community, saying that we are also going to have a meeting this afternoon where most of maybe the speakers will be using English to
Yeah.
benefit others. So looking at Care for Nature, we feel blessed because as an organization, we've been looking at children participating in climate policy, looking at where we are right now. Climate change has emerged as one of the biggest concerns that we're having as a country. We are facing issues of drought, we are facing issues of floods. And so we looked at if our generation has not done much to prevent these climate effects, it is very important that we prepare the future generation so that for them, maybe they will make different decisions. And so we have seen a number of children, especially from Luapula, participating in programs where before they couldn't participate at national level. We've had children travel to South Africa, to Namibia, and just recently we traveled to Dubai for the United Nations Conference of Parties. And so for us, it gives us a lot of pride because these are children who are coming from rural areas and now they're able to participate in those places at regional and also at international level. Apart from that, as an organization, since 2019, we have been hosting the Luapula Alternative Mining in Saka, of which we call the Mining Indaba across Zambia. So this is a platform which brings together stakeholders to discuss the issues of mining, to make recommendations. And we are very happy that the one that we held recently, we had Dr. Sixtus Mulenga, who made a very good presentation on the future of mining in Luapula. And so we feel that we have made some significant steps because what we discussed here, we're able to submit at the Zambia Alternative Mining Indaba, which we have in Osaka. And this year, Care for Nature Zambia, from August this year to next year, we are the chairing organization for the Zambia Alternative Mining Indaba. So this gives us a very good opportunity to continue the conversations and also the programs that we are doing, because hopefully we'll be having the Northern Province and Muchinga Province mining indabas, and also taking what we have done here in Luapula to other provinces where these mining indabas have not been done before.
Okay, and one of your major issues when you were doing your advocacy was reduce the number of children in the issues to do with child labor in these mines that are dotted around Rwapula. Have you made any significant progress in that regard?
Yes, indeed, Jack, we've got a campaign that we call Zero Children in Mining. And we also conducted a research with support from Save the Children just to understand to what extent are children involved in mining and what is the impact on their rights and their welfare. So through the interactions that we've been having with the mining companies, and actually this is one of the key successes that has come out of us having this dialogue, because in the past it used to be civil society dominated. Now we work hand in hand with the mines, and you'll find that even when we were preparing these endeavors, we work together with the mines, and this has taken away the misunderstanding that was there before, that as civil society we are anti-development or we are just fault finders. And because of this collaboration that we have now with the mining companies, most of the legally operated mines, you will not find children. But we only have challenges in mines where maybe the owner is not actively mining, and so the community has access to go there and do their own mining operations. And also maybe we could say it has reduced because also, most of our mines are in far to reach places. And so due to limited capacity, you find that we are not able to visit all the mines, because mining is not just in Mansa, but we also have places like Chifunabuli and also Matanda area, Chipili, where we also need to visit and monitor to what extent children are involved in mining. But right now we can happily say that at least the number of children involved in mining has reduced. But a lot more needs to be done because of the poverty levels that we have. Mining is one of the economic drivers for local communities. And so in search of food, in search of income, you'll still find families working together with their children to maximize the amount of manganese they're able to sell, because the type of selling is through buckets. And the more buckets you are able to make, the more money you will get. So a lot more needs to be done to ensure that we protect children from child labor.
Okay, now let's get to the main issue that has been on the lips of many stakeholders, and this is the issue of transferring water from Luapula River to Kafue River. First, when you heard about this, what was your first reaction when you heard about this announcement made on the 28th of August 2024 by Minister of Water?
So the first reaction was that when the president declared the drought situation as an emergency, and a lot of stakeholders were discussing on what needs to be done, and the issue of irrigation came up, one of the things we said as an organization is that where we are going, water will be the greatest resource that will raise conflicts of interest, because we are looking at water for irrigation, we are looking at water for energy, we are looking at water for servicing households. So we were looking at just the general picture for the increased demand of water, because where we have less rainfall, it means we're also going to have less water. And again, where we don't conserve our forests, because forests play a very significant role in ensuring that we've got underground water. And so when we've got a lot of activities taking place in our forests, where there is mining in forests, where these watersheds are being disturbed and the forests are being degazetted, we are the fear of water loss, and we are the fear of conflict of interest. So when we heard of this memorandum of understanding being signed, our concern was, what if this water is transferred from Luapula to the Kafue River? What would be the economic benefit for Luapula province? And what would be the environmental impact on the ecosystems that are depending on this river? So that is the biggest fear, even as we speak. But also allow me to just note that as we are analyzing this issue, there are some proposals within this agreement. Say, for example, there is developing a comprehensive water plan for Kafue catchment area. This is very welcome. Because when we look at some of the challenges that the energy sector is facing is low water. And so if you look at the Kafue catchment, it is one of the most polluted also river system, if we look at Kafue River, because of effluents coming from the mines, and also maybe because of the many activities taking place along the river lines, you'll find that the water levels are reducing. So this is very welcome. Actually, the plan should not just be for Kafue, but for all our river systems, because like we are saying, water demand is high, and also because of climate change, we need to see how we are going to keep our rivers flowing.
Maybe our listeners want to know, when you say Kafue catchment area, they would want to know where it is located.
Okay, so when we talk about Kafue catchment, it is talking about where the Kafue River passes. So you'll find that the Kafue River is passing even through the Copper Belt, it goes to Lukanga swamps, and then it will go all the way to the southern parts, and it joins with the Zambezi catchment area. So this is basically where the river is passing, just like for us where Luapula River is passing, starting all the way from Northern Province. We call that the Luapula catchment area of Luapula River Basin. So basically, we're just looking at all the areas where this river has passed.
Okay, so that is one of the benefits that you saw from some of the issues that they raised, is the preservation of the catchment area.
Yes, and also there is, before I come to the second point, which is the transferring of water, because this is where our concern is coming. There is also a proposal of addressing medium to long-term water needs for national energy and food security. This is welcome, because the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation, this will be very key to develop these management plans. However, the concern comes to point number 2 of transferring water from the Luapula River to the Kafue River. And this is where, from this memorandum of understanding, we are very, very concerned, because when you look at Luapula River itself, it is not a river which is just starting from here in Luapula. It has got a journey that it takes, starting from as far as Northern Province by Luombe, passing through Lukulu, Chambeshi, coming into the Bangoulu, Lake Bangoulu, Zambia's only inland lake. And from there, it comes out to form this river that we know as Luapula River, which borders with the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it doesn't even stop here. It also goes to Mweru and goes into Congo, into Lualaba, until it reaches the Atlantic Ocean. So as we are talking about this river, we are not just seeing, maybe that is why, after this analysis, we would like to call upon the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation to share with us this memorandum of understanding, so that we understand to what extent, how much water are we talking about, and from what point, because like I've said, this river has a long stretch. And so we would like to understand, when they're talking about this proposal, at what point are they talking of getting this water, and what method of getting the water? Is it constructing water pipes, or is it open canals? Because if you're going to have an open canal, there is risk of losing water along the way. It might not even reach the point of intention. We might lose this water before it gets there.
And according to the minister, when he announced this, he made this announcement. He says the Luapula to Kafue water transfer will be done by building a canal to enable water flow from up north, which has abundant water resources, southward, an area that has increasingly become dry, yet houses all of major Zambia's power generating assets. So they are talking about coming up with a canal.
But Jack, maybe for the benefit of the other listeners, bakomfawe sutulelanda pa lyashiria kusesha menshi ukufuma ku Luapula River pyatwala ku Kafue River uko kwa menshi ya Chepele. So elio ba ministry bachita propose canal Chilindi baimbe Chilindi chakwata mwa menshi yalepita twalata mpokutontonkanya pale ayo menshi. One, as we are talking about climate change, we are not just talking about rainfall, we are also talking about excess heat. Excess heat, we are experiencing it even in June. It is not every time that it is getting cold. Sometimes we are having excess heat to the extent where even here, some of the tributaries for Mansa River drying. So now if you look at water in an open space, to a large risk, but one, I mention put evaporate in a time that to quit the excess heat. Two, I mention kushabale for in chitonshi. Ninchitofe yako mkupanga malaiti na mukulina na irrigation, kuline emilimo imbe obalefo ayamenshi ya bombe. So ele mwalanda tayamenshi elo yalambo kwenda bafama bayabonfiemo. Abala yabona yamenshi already. There is a issue of people like having irrigation to support the agriculture sector. Elo balambo kuyabonfia yamenshi. How much water will reach if it's the Kariba, say for example, they're saying it should go to Kariba. What is the distance and what will it take? What our listeners also need to understand is maybe this is the disadvantage that we've had, because an organization like Care for Nature Zambia would be strong in advocacy and education. But there are people who have studied even just our river system, the physical features of Zambia. So when we talk about Kafue River, Lukanga Swamp, Lukanga Swamp it is lacking the water that it needs because of challenges influence kuchingola. We all know the pollution that is taking place in Chingola. Akamana ngamlepita fe pamufulira padamla ya Kopa Belt. You can see ukweba mona pofia mabo padikali akamana. So pako batikali akamana bushekene po amensheke ngidira. Kakesa la fe mu follow ukabamo because that river already needs water. And now Lukanga Swamp also needs water. Yafika kulukanga swamp kulia yala ikala ya menshete service the other species that are there, because we know Lukanga Swamp is also one of an important fisheries and it supports biodiversity. No mapako bachia yafike kulia kukariba, how much water are we going to lose? Elo nomba, apart from me concern yako bati twalalu samenshi didiale ndo kuyafiko kwa yale nga kuno Luapula. Because as we are talking about development, one of the things Zelo Toilet develop the National Development Plan, the 7th National Development Plan, we sat as provinces to identify the comparative advantage. Chintu nshimukwete Luapula ichinga myafuirisha okuchita develop, and one of our comparative advantages is water. So now we need this water for the energy sector ourselves. If you look at Luapula today, being one of the poorest provinces in Zambia, it's because we don't have adequate electricity to service industries. Whenever we sit with different stakeholders, like I was saying, we just had the Luapula Alternative Mining AENDA, and we were privileged to have one of the experts that we have in Zambia in mining, Dr. Sixtus Mulenga, and he did mention that Luapula can become a steel industry. So if Luapula can become a steel industry, it means there are a lot of jobs that can be created. Remember, there's also a memorandum of understanding with the Democratic Republic of Congo and our country with America to produce electric vehicle batteries. We've got the manganese. There's a lot of mining taking place already, and the miners are arguing that if refineries can be set up here, if they can be smelting companies, it can create value to these minerals. Why are we not having industries? We've got a lot of mango coming from the valley. Why are we not setting up mango factories or even just finishing most of the products that we have? It's because we have low electricity. So now feasibility studies have been conducted for a long time, and a lot of water points have been identified where hydropower stations can be set up. So no matter to kwete situation ya kwa Luapula is desperate for development. Echo tukwete menshi. Elo nomba amenshi basenda batwala kule kafyu. What does that mean for Luapula? Tuafuma pali energy. We are talking about agriculture. People are saying, no, avena Luapula tabalima.
Tabalima sana.
Now we are hearing that I don't know how many tonnages of maize we produced.
We hear 70,000.
Exactly. So meaning people have now seen the value of agriculture. We've got a ready market with Congo. Abantu bamono kwe bati muli obukumu mu kulima. Abantu balelima kale kwadifiye obulimi bwatute. Balelima amataba, balelima amasaka, balelima embalala. That is economic development for Luapula. And now we cannot just depend on the rain because imfulo okuloka bufu abwakwalesa. Nganga tayilokere, we are also depending on this same river for irrigation. Ngatuafumonko tulelanda pali fisheries. This is a flagship for Luapula. Kwanza fyoko wayanga wafika fecho bala baida ko fyoku ipusha mwebena Luapula na mwisa kone esabi. Why? Because we've got one of the biggest fisheries in Zambia. And it is along the Bangoulu kulia kusaidu kulia kunetenda tumumana na upita. If you look at Luapula River, kulia kumambili mana tukwata a breeding spot for fish. Iyo ya kwa bati, bakonfowesu kutina temona achita clarify ukwe bati. Elo tudelo lesha kama environmental concerns. Nelio kuingabo kupanga maraiti kuno kwini. We could still sit and raise these concerns because na tukwata mambilima fisheries apa the breeding space. So nombelo ayamenshi aya, what will be the impact? So you start looking at e proposal. Ni benefit inshiala kwata kuli province yo ile chita depend pali ayaye na menshi ya moyene because not kwata tulelanda pali agriculture, tulanda pali fisheries, tulanda na pali energy na water transport. So these are some of the concerns that we have.
And of course, the other people are saying because the weather pattern is unpredictable. It keeps on changing. What happens when we experience drought here and they experience rains in the southern part of Zambia?
Thank you very much, Jack. Nedidi netudela and twalibaba palwaku Luapula, Northern and Muchinga because northern security abaku ecological region 3 ukuba a lot of rainfall. But that does not mean imfula ila loka fimofini, efe imfula ila loka kuchiengi, efe ila loka kawambo, efe ila loka na kumansa. Tulakwata na places oko kubati, ife akudiana fiona ukatwali kwata kwechilala. So we are equally affected. Hello, when we are talking about climate change, this is a process which happens in the atmosphere. That is why climate change, among developing countries, to let the old accountable among developed countries, to climate change because they are the ones producing a lot of carbon emissions. It's actually people obusanso buli America kuti bwaleta n'obusanso ku Africa. Takwa aboku determine ukwebati ushe impact ikapela pesa. If you have an infula you cannot predict. Had it been so, ngakwadi preparedness for southern province. Had people seen this drought coming, nga bali prepared quickly. So even for Luapula, we cannot sit here and guarantee unless the meteorological department can come in and maybe guarantee that nabapima umwera nokuno for the next 10-50 years imvula ikalaloka february kuno ku Luapula, there wouldn't be any impact. But because we cannot predict, it is very risky to take the water from one region to another without knowing how the climate will be in the next 10-50 years.
And because they are indicating that they have already started the feasibility studies and it will take around 18 months. Did you get any hint that there is something like this about to happen, or you were just hit with a surprise? You were involved as a stakeholder? You were consulted before they made this decision?
For lack of a better term, actually, it sounds like mockery. Because if you look at not long ago, elwabanesuko chiengi balesefya obwidide bakateka balikono balanda na mashua yasumasano kwe bati chefo ikokuchita unlock the investment potential ya Luapula basha bachita na assign nama ministers ba PS kwe bati bomfye kwe ndeke nga nishibili mu chite survey ukumona fish file kufa ikakuno ku Luapula. So lidya tuamba okumona kwe bati twakwata mining inda batatolale mana report okupanga ma recommendations ya kwe bati if we develop, we were actually thinking of coming up with a development forum to capitalize by the pronouncement to develop. Liga tule lole shapafya to develop particularly proposal ya kusenda menshi. Elo nisha menshi chintocho tukwete number one pali yonse. If you look at all the sectors that are proposed in the 8th National Development Plan, our implementation plan, so it feels like mockery. At one stage, we are saying, let's develop Luapula, and then you take away its significant resource, you take it elsewhere. So what does that leave for us? Change to alalo leshapo, eto to ala bonfia, ukuchita develop Luapula, nga tuapela menshi, ayoyo tukwete kuchita develop. Bajaki chimbi ngamomo na nanguline tudela ndati, let's unlock the potential. Not long ago, ama districts yale chita launch ama integrated development plans. Ito chilelango kwa ama districts yale nango 8 na yakwata ama plans already na ama proposals ya kwa tifle for ipoko chita pako watu chita develop nivi. So what we just need is now to how do we implement these plans. So before we even start looking at tupele amenshi, what is government planning to do for us to use this water to develop Luapula? Because we are not one of the most developed. If we are saying that Luapula na mulikobu inova Luapula, mwalia kale pantanji, afu idishen kwa banenu, abashilachita develop na lena baye kwa pantanji, it would be understandable. But have we failed to develop hydropower stations here in Luapula province?
Okay, so we are talking to Care for Nature Executive Director, Madam Samam Sondekens, and we are talking about the transferring of water from Luapula to Kafiwe River, the announcement that was made on August 28, 2024 by the Minister of Water. And Madam Sonda, let me just share with you these thoughts from this text message. It says on today's meeting, and I know you're having a meeting, we'll talk about that meeting later on. It says, meeting on possible transferring of water to Kafiwe River, they should consider the removal of excess water in ever-flooding Bangwauru swamps. The type of people the canal will pass through. These, that is Congo DR. These are among other submissions to be included by the panel. I hope people will turn up in large numbers today, 14 hours at Mansa Hotel. Okay, so just saying you should also consider the, do you have excess water?
But Jack, when we are talking about excess water, nali monakokulina bambe balandireti Mansa River ilabunda ushawa meisha ya kuisa. One of the proposals as we are talking about preparedness, because remember, we also, as we are talking about climate change, we're also talking about disasters. So one of the proposals to manage this disaster coming from drought is water harvesting. So we are seeing these floodings because we are not harvesting the water. But when we talk about preparedness, we are saying that we don't want to waste any water. If there was a way of harvesting this water, we wouldn't have the excess water that they're seeing. Again, what is causing this excess water? you know the design of the river natona ulefyo lesapanga imimana mwalasanga timumbali yamimana abantu balimba amabwe basha area idea kwa bati kale amenshi alefukana mwaye amenshi yalapita yalakwata enshilo yipita but pamulando kwa bati most of the river banks have been disturbed elo yaloka mwalasanga tiyali amenshi yafiro kwenda bwino yalaisa kuli abantu bayimba bambi balichita damming so abantu abashishi bako bati kuli damage ichitika kuli ya river balamona kwati ne excess water. But in fact, it is not excess water because where the river is not disturbed, it is because the Mwasanga did minimo and then they create a space where water will extend. So what we need is water harvesting. And maybe if we harvest enough water, because then we can call that harvested water excess water and it will not have impact on the natural ecosystem.
Do you have any example you can cite in any country where they have done this project before and how has been the effect?
But Jack, I think example ingapela kubantu abasakamana pafinengola nalesanga efyo inena sakamana kutichaleta nomwenso nga mwalolesha ku West Africa kwa diba lake atemwa kwa di lake obale itoko bat Lake Chad pantu efyo lake ishele no statu twalanda tukulo bana iloba if di for pantu mama na efyo lesa pange mimana ila kwata ma tributaries so nga chakwa bati fida twalesa mbidira ku skulu tabatu sambilishe bwino kwishibwa kwa bati akakamana nakakwatoko kafumine nika stream but nakafuma kuli uyu mumana tatwaishibe impact yala kwatelo twachita destroy kali akamana nangoro twachita destroy efyo tuliotumana twaenda so elo bambo kutita tap amenshi ukufuma mu Lake Chad kupita ma tributaries yaya kufyalo ifide about 4 inoshitatulela nda Lake Chad ngayali 100% na ichita lose 95% of its water and if climate change continues kuti twalanda fyatita pali Lake Chad. So now these are the lessons we need to draw. When the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation comes up with water transfer, that is why we are saying that consultation should have come before the MOU. Have they done a study to show that there would be no impact if water is transferred? They are the ones who are supposed to give us now examples of transfer impact. This is how they managed it. When we transfer open water into another country, there are also security risks. What if that water there, Mapona track here sulfur, who is to blame? What about the people who are going to receive that water? Because we also need to understand I am shared with the Democratic Republic of Congo. And even as we are proposing to transfer, the possibility is that this canal is going to pass through DRC. So the issue of transboundary agreements also come in. So we don't know if our colleagues have been consulted and if they are agreeable. Another concern is 2 years ago or earlier or more, we had a consultative meeting here on the establishment of the Luapula River Authority. This is supposed to be a body that will manage the waters between Zambia and DRC, and also because as we are talking about the Zambezi catchment, Tolkota Zambezi River Authority. So Tatuishi Bay Authority ngaidi established, if they are aware. So these are some of the things that we are hoping that Ilitwala Kumanakasuba, the Ndabale Makuma Department ya Water, Tubachitako shed light, Ngachako Batina Tukwata Luapula River Authority, they are aware, and if they're able to share with us at another time, if the studies have been done and if there are no concerns. So fintu fimofa tu sakamene sana sana fya kwebati lero wamenshere pita muchalo chimbi. What is the security kwebati takawakabe conflict of interest? Ichilangidiro ni pediko I road. You have seen how long it has taken to construct a road through another country. There are a lot of challenges that come, and so even with the water, what would be the security? How will we ensure that as the canal is going through this country, they also won't tap into it? Because to kwete the same challenges. So tabakonesha ya menshi ya before limitara afika nuko yale yana boba ya bonfie ko kainish na yesa.
Okay, so this is the agenda program, and today we are talking about the transfer of water from Luapula River to Kafua River. And this is the project that was announced by the Minister of Water Affairs, Collins Nzovu. And if you want to participate via text message, it's 0965884955. If you can manage, you can even call. I've got a text message here. It says, this step is masana. Omuntu tontonkanya ffe bwe nafuire okwipusha abashingurukeko pafintu alepanga okukita ushe okwaba omwana wa Luapula kwaba abantu ngaeko baba, why not asking for their consent? Amano maka baletupanda kona ifwe tuli bantu. Minerals from Luapula taken away by the same big fishes. Now it's water with its fishes at the expense of the Luapula welfare. And it reminds me of you know, when you talk about ecosystem, maybe break it down in November. Before I ask this question, maybe about four questions. Government ecosystem, it's
Natatala sana ba Jack. Elo nga tulelanda echo tuficha tifilengwa na lesa. Kwali befinto fo tupanga fwe bantu. Kwali ba eo tuito kwe bati the human made environment. Elo kwa bana natural environment. So ecosystem nifide finto fo mwini lesa apanga design yako bati amenshi pakwe bati yabeko kukala befi muti mumbali yamenshi efira mumone fikolo fyesu kale fyale sambisha na pakuteme fi muti kwe bati mwilate mefi muti mumbali ya mumana. So ecosystem ni mulya umuleikala ne filengwa na lesa pantu twalikwata eyo tuitokwe bati aquatic ecosystem iya menshi coming from aqua. So mulya mwalasanga tinatukwata filengwa na lesa fikala palandi twakwata ne filengwa na lesa fikala mumenshi. So filengwa na lesa fikala mu menshi mulya mwine emona molesa fupangiro kwe bati file yafuilisha ukuchita service ngabantu fila tulelanda tini benefit nshi abakuma wetlands abantu balefunyamo nga fyakulya elo gatwalolesha kuli ama rivers utumana tatupelera fe mulya mwine mumufololesa apanga titulepita tulesa na mukufumako fila bambi bachalanda tikula ba flooding tulafuma tuwapanga watu yakolinga ama swamps ama dambos ama wetlands. So ida wetland na mwana sanga tukuli na mashimongea for example kuno eko tukwete Bangaulu wetlands mwana sanga tukuli na mesha palaba black lake shadi ba semi aquatic tisha ikala kwa pa uma for a short period of time but ili ngishiba mumenshi mwana sanga kuli fioni filinga ba shubi wifi sangwa fe kuno fila sangwa mu menshi kuli ne na mana shimbisha kwa titetishikale ukushidi amenshi. So mwana sanga tingatiranda pali ecosystem ni fila finelesa pango kwe bati chichikala afwe chichafu echi na ifofwe bantu isato bano kwe bati na imomukala fichita manage fifinto pakwe bati tafilobele. Elo I think same time elo tulelanda pali development pantu kwena elo twalanda pakwe bati tutwale ukuyantanshi bwanchende idionse kuntanshi tulalolesha pafinto ifa sana. One of the things is culture. The cultural aspect. That is why today you will see Zambia is taking pride in cultural ceremonies. Today, Monongo region kuli cultural ceremony because we acknowledge the indigenous knowledge, the traditional knowledge. Amano yachfialilo. So elo tulelanda pamano yeso yachfialilo. Mwalasanga tif kolo fiesu fialalando kwa tamenshi mupashi. Elo mumenshi mumuine mwaikala imipashi shafi kolo fiesu. Echo mwala sangiro kwe bati ili ngelo tukwete ma traditional ceremonies bala mukubike fyakulya mumimana okusekesha ifikolo fyesu. Elo mwala yakuma waterfalls ayengi mwala sango kwe bati waterfalls yala kwata story pamipashisha ikele kulya. That's why mwala sangati nemi pepele lingi wale bati ukweko bapepela chimwenche ndebale kanya nokuya kwa pantu eko ifikolo fyesu fyale kumanina nemipashi. So nelo tulela ndapakusesha amenshi kulwapulo kuli mipashi shafikolo shesu ukutuwala ku region yimbi tufile twamono kwa bati kushe mipashi shika chipokelela. So ni aspect feimo. But again, not what the scientific aspect. Yotulelanda nomba pali climate change twalanda kona pama environmental impacts.
And when I was thinking through this matter last night, I was because what I know is there are certain species of fish that do not exist in certain water bodies, and I was wondering what happens if we mix up the water of the Luapula River and the Kafue River. Do you have any information as regards that issue? And what happens if it affects now like the impalas in the wetland. Are we not going to create the animal-human conflict because surely it will be affected?
Kwaiba jotna totela sana pantu yalo tulelanda pa species twalikuwa temboa mutsungu walanda catfish species ila tumona kulya kubango olunimofi na mumwende mummana lwakula kwaliba species naye neyo abanenso bafukukira kwe bakwata eyo balando kwe bati utuma species utusangu afye kuno kulwakula so nga mwalolesha palicho na chena yakaba affected na lapela ko ichilangililo because of demand for food kwali kuchita introduce amasabi yambi ifyabo fimbi fyale chita introduce isabi bali funyonku bali twala kuli kumana umbi bale sango ko batidile isabi lyali fibo kuikala nangu lyaya isabi lyonsoro ya sango so elo balanda pakusenda menshi kyonse ifyo finto fatule fo kuikala na ba Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation ukipusha ko batushe paka basefa muni ifyo yo ineka nao muka basefa yako batinesa bitali ya kulaya pandelo sabidi ya one nga tualolesha kuli kafiwe personally inenga an environmentalist my concern is we were looking at the impact of pollution in Makuma mines pedi kafiwe river so if you look at Chingola Chingola bali tuele no imulando ku court although wali ku court ku chalo chimbi ni pamulando ko bati kulya ku Chingola kwali nyacho baleta hip-hop ukwale sangwa mahipo ino shitata kulya mahipo isabiri ngiri alifwa amensha ali mukafiwa abantu balerwala so nomba isabiri afuma kulwakula lyasendwa kumona menshi kuno isabiri diri mumana uli healthy elo lyaya ingira mukafiwa muli sulfur dioxide. Is that fish going to survive? It will be a strange thing, and that will be what we call environmental injustice. Uko naula habitat if you don't want to soko fikere we no more station of pollution just for the sake of we need to transfer this water. It is environmental injustice which I personally I would be very much against.
So let's look at the way forward. How do you want to approach this issue? Because of course we can say, lack of a better word, a mistake has been made because they have made the decision without consulting the local people, the stakeholders. They are going ahead with the feasibility studies. Hopefully, the feasibility studies won't give a positive outlook, but we'll leave it to the technocrats. So, what next? How are we going to add our voice to this issue of transferring popular water to Kafue River?
What next? This afternoon, therefore, kumfa pantu ululu apula te lua care for nature Zambeloika. Tulipa mwana banensu ba Vision Africa Regional Network abo tuchitile organize na boy event na tukwatana banensu abo tutati aba kufyalo fimbile lo bafuma kulwapula ba wapula diaspora and then kulifa na experts sabe ngiaba chitafe na feasibility studies abo twala bana be napali na ba Dr. Barnabas Mulenga. So elo twalanda pali ichichin tutecha care for nature Zambeika. If we ngaka bungo twali chita declare kwa bat interest yesu feeling ngona lesa. If atula mona fena pa finyelele fa fine fa kwa bat kunona na tukwato bubenshi wali kwataro buchita play. Ushena ma until sta kabe disturbed. So if we have a bias towards environment and our concern is environment. So limbibambe kutiba mono kwa bat ngefifine tulela nshanya na ba mama in balanda no kuti tuwaimba but we can reclaim the land. Mwalanshanya because acha kwa vela environmental management plan. So tulefa tumfo ekofe na kuli bambi bena ba chumfo shani. Bantu limbi ba care for nature cho bale land lefe basaka mene sabi. Basaka manwa bango ulu wetlands. Iyo ili it is a Ramsar site, actually it is a protected site, a site of international importance. Ngale kumueruna yo ile po kamish kulwa sheka ba affected. Nomba dimbi tufunye po isa kami kwa yaba care for nature. Nga bambi ba chumfu ile shani. Nga kulya bachipokelele busu manshi ba mona mobena twafuane ukutontonkanya pakwa bati finto fatwala isalanda mukasuba efe nomba twala kwata what we call a press briefing touch the share if you allow makubantu not one person but the public elonga twafuma papantu lero tatwitile bashamfumu twitile feni pabwingi fio ochikumine esomfwe esalandeko elo touch the collector ma views And then from those views, tukakwate nomba stakeholder dialogue meeting ngakuya kulusaka tukavakongereva minister of water and development na tusitwatemuisha na va minister of local government and rural development na vena vavakwa, because actually this proposal came from him in parliament. And also when we look at Wapula, it is a rural province, so we are also looking at rural development. What impact would transferring water have on rural development? So we would like to identify the key ministries so that we have a dialogue meeting and also bring together the stakeholders. Vashamfumu vyena vachumfuire shani pantu ifa twalichindikaito tonkane vashamfumu. So elo panga decision nga province tetupange decision fo ikatufire twamfona kuli vashamfumu vyena vatontonkenya shani vachumfuire shani ichi chintu. So nama experts fevasha lama engineers.
Okay, let me just pick up this call. Good morning. You are through to agenda program. Henry from Iteneke. Okay, you switch off the radio set so that we can communicate well. Turife bwino mukwaye.
Turife bwino nga balishani nabo.
Okay, so how much what question you in Henry? Mkwaye bala tuwasuka baba guest response Mackenzie mkwaye. Twatotela sana bayenri mkwaye bala twasuka mkwaye.
Bayenri natotela sana ipo mwasaka manako ni ngwena kwena china ine wine kutinasa kama nukumono kwe bati ingwena shesu isha kuno shaya isanga kukafiwelo shalapema.
Maybe allow me to pick up another call. Hello? Turife bwino tumwashimia kwe chirimba mkwaye tumfuane bwino. Twashibuka bwino bana ya mashina mkwaye. Bamamboti bakonkanya hapo mkwaye. Mwakwisha mkwae. Mkwae twatotera sana ba Mambwe from New Mfurira, number 0965884955. Tuliranda paku chita transformation ya ruwapula okutwala mana wakafiwe so that venga chita booster menshi ya ku iyo baliranda chaya kukariba so that amalighting water levels inga fula mukariba dam. Na tusende kuna himbiko. Good morning. Twashibuka vegweno mkwaye nibana nitulirandira bwaba mkwaye. Bamando tumwakonkanya mkwaye. Tatotela sana mkwaye. I think you can attend to the three callers.
Na totela sana ba Henry bachibelila kobena concern yabo yacho kama feasibility studies kwa watu ucheta tetibaloleshe ko kuno kwino kumono kubenga pangira ba Henry as way back as 1929 there have been quite ba organizations or institutions aya chita study fyo mwana walo akulanga kutukwa bo kupangira kwa malight elo quite ba nenchende shibidi ishi sangwa ma feasibility studies makamaka apo apa di mumbotuta elo na mambilima so nga chako bati ko kwali ukwikala limbi naba energy elo nomba kuinga bo kuishira bushe change challenge ko bati tabale chita develop electricity pali ayama sites kwena nga kulo shafe ko bati bushe kuti bapanga kwa kuti bapanga pantu na kubano kubebeta bali bebeta nenchende fe bali sanga kula kumbotuta na kumambilima elo nga kuli ba mambo bachalanda ti bushe nishita bapangire kuno kulwapula pakwe bati yachitako create employment kwena bonse lipusho tukwete kwe bati bushe ngachako bafyata yamenshi bale fokusesha kuno ukutwala kukafiwe yama light fie yeka change state bapangire yo in hydropower station kuno because one tolela ndapa kufungulula ubuyantanshibwa lwapula so elo twakwata hydropower station sufficient electricity yala twafilisha ko not only fye kuchita create employment kula kwina kukala bomba abantu kwa hydropower station but kuma industries yambi ayenga chita benefit na tukwata abale membalala kutukwabo kuchita add value bale panga cooking oil na tukwata abanenso abamabu abalera ndoko batama minerals ayam inoshita manganizi ili pacha tuleto ko bat critical mineral iyo ili pa demand pamulando ko bati kuti yabo mfeshwa mukupanga ama batteries yani yotokeshishipya so vyonse fye kuti fyapangirwa kuno elo ngamwalolesha padidili kusho lyakwe bati bushe aba bakola bafumapo balando kwe bati imbebe ko ngatachaka kwate impact kulyoko mumana uleya kwena ilwe sakamiko lyesu na ifwe pamulando wakwe bati ifunde lyesu ichalo chesu cha Zambia twalikwata mafunde twalikwata one constitution iyo yalando kwe bati chonso chotuleti tatufile twamona impact chala kwata kuli environment ifunde supreme law elo twaisa kwata na the Environmental Management Act of 2011 irela ndokwe bati ubuyantanshi bonse ubwinga kwata impact obusanso pali environment tabufuile bwatampa ukwabulo okubebeta ekyo tuyita ati environmental impact assessment so nakuli ne project teti bombe ukwabulo okuchita conduct environmental impact assessment panto kyo tokwatira n'ekiputulu ekya Zambia Environmental Management Agency kifuira okumona okwe bati iyi project ama-concerns nga yafuula ninshi yabafira twita tama red flags bali kwata ensambusha kwa bati hii project eti ahead nga bamono kwa bati ama impact eripoawo yanonofye abalwapula basakamene fye mbowa ishwe mbowa tukabika kosefa tashakale pita mmeshi mbowa shabo shikashala kuti basuminisha project kwa bati fira musakamene ifa kwa bati mweru kuti yakamana tumona teti ikame musakamene bango ulu wetlands kuti yakamana teti ikame so kufuile kwa ayoma studies na report ya kwa bati kwene fatwasanga ni fipa mulando kwa bati na ifufu abali concerned ngacha kwa bati balanda titayaka kame bango ulu elo ya isa kama we can hold them accountable and even take them to court because livelihood bala disturb nishi afula and they choose to put people and the ecosystem at risk for a certain benefit.
Okay, number ni 0965884955 twala tulina mukusondolera program yesu nga mulefu okutuma bwangu tumwatuma message that about the possible transfer of water to other parts of the country. Why is it that all the traditional leaders of the province as major stakeholders and mouthpiece of its subjects too quiet about this important issue? What is their role to their subjects? As concerned, the Wapura dweller, I'm badly disappointed by the quietness of leaders. Let me just pick up this call. Good morning. Hello? You're through? Yes, you're through to the agenda program. Mwabanani? Imkwaye ba mwe watch mwalanda kona imwe. Imkwaye. Twatotera mkwaye. And yes, you two can come through. We are just in the 9 minutes of our program. Let me just pick up this call. You're through to the agenda program. Good morning. Imkwaye. Twatotera mkwaye 0965884955 and I only need one more call and we call it a day. We'll wind up this program. Let me check this message. It says why Wapura is always on demolished, let our Wapura the way it is. Fear we intention say Nikukala Renga if we know that is Jackson. Our last caller there. Good morning. Twabomba fya bwero mkwaye banatira ndabo. Ba Judith. Twatotera sana mkwaye ba mwe ba fest kulanda kunga gaba fyashi. Tubalanda po mkwaye. twatotera sana bamayoba Judith, and the what I've gotten from all the submissions that have been made via the phone call is people don't care about the cost of building an hydropower plant from here. Better we spend the money and benefit. We will directly benefit, and the nation will indirectly benefit. So people just want that project to be done within Brooklyn.
Yes, but Jack, Mamo Nangatulelanda Pali cost. How much did it cost to develop the Kariba hydropower station itself? It could have been expensive, but in Piashali Sangirwe, but pan to Charlie Monica Kovati Chichin to Chili significant. Not Quatama projects, I engage in Piashing, Ishireva poor spent. In Pia government here for a Pamland Wakova Chili important. Bushe, Chili important to Quata hydropower station Punukulu Pulanga Chili important. Nishi, that is a priority and money needs to be taken to that project. Nimbi eponshila suka ama callers. Kudi ama concerns or tule mwana wambi balera ndati balwa pula mlefo kanya menshi abandi nsuku kariba bali chite sacrifice abantu bali fuide inamasha ali fuide na ifoto bachita benefit through the national grid. Ba convoy suna papata, let me clarify this. No one is saying ngabali pangile big hydropower station kuno light fair kulwa pula. Na fino fine tulelanda na tukwata msonda hydropower station. Na ye na ila pela light ku national grid. Tatule chita benefit fueka. Kuno kulwa pula we are equally affected na load shedding. Efo bonsa wale chita experience na efo bene efo tule chita experience despite that na tukwata msonda hydropower station. So tatulelanda kwa tulefo light yesu fie. Tulefo amenshi yesu fie awe. Ngabali pangila hydropower station kuno kuti yachita benefit n'abanensu filafine nabo tatwasendera menshi kufuma ku kafyo kuyaleta kuno elo bapanga light bayapangire kulya n'abantu balita benefit balingira kwa machito. There are a lot of other factors that have come from there as a result of having ida Kariba power station kulya. Ba mwe wabachalanda pali expo chachi inecho kwa belele expo kuchite exhibit potential ndemona punch time over education minister bali chitire express concern kwa batinishi wapula ingabera puwa kwatita kuli abantu so elo na ifo chaisa ngecho tulesha na makayonso kwa tinga abantu tulange kwa batina ifo bende na tukwata mano na tukwata efe tule munu kwa batefinga chita develop wapula, and one of those things kukwata hydropower station kuno. So iyo expo yali yaku chita show kuma investors okwa batinga mwandiletele development kuno na ifabene kuno kuine kuti province ukuchushi poverty yachepako. So that expo was to show the potential, and that is why now through the expo we are trying to attract investment and also government to put in money into developing Luapula. And I'll just give an example, not what amwenda kasomemo one stop border stop yali yako batinga twakwata ida twala chitako na reduce congestion iba ku Kasumbalesa. Elo shidemi yoto kashambo kupita kuno. There are a lot of other trade isa muku kwata chidi chintu. So ifine tulelanda no kwatinga twali kwata malaiti kuno na yena kutia chita support other industries. Bamando bachalanda pakwe bati yo for tule mona la kutilimbi kwa environmental impact assessment but chabanga filia, for example twakwate ku Lower Zambezi mining in the Lower Zambezi bazema bakana teti chitike but twaisa muno kwa bati balanda tikuti achitika ino nchita mchalo chesu cha Zambia elo ichie chintocho ningatemwa ukutasho ukuteko bulipo ubwa UPND icho chako bati bali chindika voice of the people. Ngana muona for a long time tatwa kwete access to information law, but hilo na ipita. And what this access to information law also talks about is for abantu tu alikuwa tensambu ya kukwata information hii tukumine. Elonga mwaloleshane ine environmental impact assessment bazema bene, it's a public document. If we have a pa website, if we have sangwa fena ma places umu ya abantu na mwakuli ba DC kuti mwa ipshete ndefa wako environmental impact assessment. Nga yikumina menshi kuti mwaya kuli ba Luapula water ndefa wako environmental impact assessment, because these are public documents. So nomba chaisa kuli ifwe bantu ni ronshi twala chita play, because as our citizens we've got a role to hold government accountable na tukwata insambu isha kuivimba mu mitekele ya chalo cha tuitira democracy. Democracy ni abantu bayibimba mu mitekere ya kyalo so tulina ensambusha kwe bati twakiberenge ekikintu n'okulanda okwe bati efe balembere monifi efe tulefuana imwe mukonke bambi bakilandako pali bashamfumu ati tuli disappointed bashamfumu bali tondolo elo bambi futi baleipusha okwe bati gusha kuli meeting mwana kwata namwitako limbi ba PS namwita ba DC namwita shane ichi chintu chaisa fienga fila balanda ticha kukonka olubiro naye chikonka olubiro iyi meeting ya uli onse fie uli concerned my views nga fino fine tuli pachilimba tatuchire target uli onse tulefo kumfwa fye bushe abantu bale tontonkanya shani elo nombalira tuwa umfwa changu kale chaba bwino nomba nokwita ba PS na twikale panshi umfwa ene fye abantu balelanda ba minister na twikale panshi umfwa ene fye abantu balelanda. So this is more like consulting.
Public hearing.
Yes, public hearing. Ukumva kusha abantu balelanda shani bakwe bati mayilota balandile kwe bati iyo samena eukenye chambile fe kati iyo chala ona ulabango ulu wetlands ngabambi abali kunchengesha kusana bachumfa shani so teti pali ino shitatupele bashamfumu mulando pantu nimbi kulomba fe kwesu kwa imo ba media mlachita play a very big role in disseminating information. Ineli mbuti nalanda na bashamfumu 1, 2 or 3 nishaye byabantu bonse fe bashamfumu balandile but ngakwali kwa maybe a way to invite traditional leaders or to just get their views when abale chumfashani limbi kuti chafuidisha elo kulina bachilanda ti lwapula yekeni ibe fie mkwaini nsambusha bena lwapula ukuchita defend ifilengwa na lesa elo no kuchita demand the type of development bale fwaya ba Judith na totela sana pantu ilingi bana mayo tulashalira kunuma lelonga mwaisa mona impact ifilengwa na lesa fya kwa tapabwikashi nifwe bana mao chikuma sana pantu inoshitanga mwayana ngoni kubangwa ulumwala sanga bana mayo na bana panu mabalelo besabi bali panga twakulobela ko balelo bapantu na mayo mutima waba mukudisha abana so nga elo mwatuma mwalolesha pamisepelo kwa batisha ingira kwa machito na ifo bene kulila kwesu kwa bati chino chitungu cha lwapula chintu cha palwa nimbi nifida balando kwa bati save the best for last because nga mwamone chuma ichili kulwapula chuma chilecha kwa bati nga tuwachichita unlock echingesa tuwala na Zambia pantanshi bwino lelo kulila fe kwesu ifo kwa bati elo tulechita propose ama investments iseni tuloleshe kuntanshi chimbacho ningatemo kulanda po ba Jack mama na fwe baba ku environmental sector year in year out tuladila pali increasing budgetary allocation towards environmental protection iyi sector mwala sanga kwa temptation ono mwala sanga kwa bati ama sectors yambia kwa temptation twachita investment defense kumunkondo enkondo yotatwa lwapo lelo nkondo tulelo inoshita tenkondo ya mfuti tulelo nkondo ya climate change.
Yes.
And so we need to see bushe nikuisoko tulingiro kubika impia ishakwe bati ngatuwa chita manage climate change na kula kwino kwa menshi ya chepele ngakulifye good management ecosystem ine ila ichita service.
Let me just pick up my last call because he's been trying to call. The number that ends with 20, you've been trying to call. I'll give you a chance. Just call so that you can share your views and then we wind up the program. This has been the agenda program and we were discussing the transfer of Wapula water to Kafiwe. So let me just pick up this call. Hello? Emkwa imbara ntiranda bo emkwa iba mwaba awo tuture nyumfa akola ndeni emkwa Abadde mukyala invite twatotera sana bamwabo emkwaye awe natuchitarekodi twatotera sana bamwe abamkwaye okay. Okay, twatotera mkwaye. Okay, Vamwava, and he's got an idea of what he's talking about. He's talking from experience. And it sends shivers in my spine.
Okutotera sana fe Vamwava natotera sana ipo mwaivimba momuni hii program pantu mwamona ngaulela ndaweka kuticha wakati nifika noa ale bilembilo kwa batu dinokwata mafloods abantu basekati nomba noa napena. So elo mweba chitama studies nge fimo mwalandako chale to kuishibo kwa bati tatulelanda fe washibuka fyati yona yandande ko pako bati besesha menshi yenge ama studies bachitelo te icho che kalimbi echo na ama hydropower station tabala bikira kuno nipamulando wakumono kwa bati elo abachitira ama studies bamono kwatu wakola na ikwata pristine environment fila tolanda ifile ngwana lese ifile unique ifya kwa bati tete tubutukile mkupanga ma light pamumana ukwa block mona usheto alasungidira shani ifintu ifingona uka elo na tukwata other alternatives za kwa bati tukwata ma solar power plants na fino tulera ndalo apply by earmarked for solar plants I'm sure kumbi bali amba no kupanga. Hello, futi twalole shoko bati yes, we need hydropower. We can put in measures to protect our species. Epalia, your environmental impact assessment ya isa nomba. before tatulasuminishanya nefe twalachingirira efifirengwa nalesa kuno elo nomba mwaisa chita transformation balondolola efyo efintu ifingi finga ba affected but sense bonsa botulelanda so kaishi mukwaine kutina temofe mukusondolera ninjishbenshi tabachimpela nimbi nokupulana ipulamo okwebati indondololeko fye panel yesu wangu twala kwata ba mwenya ba executive director ba Vision Africa Regional Network abalaba ba speaker natukwata ba Dr. Barnabas Mulenga wabachita kwa ma feasibility studies balaba ba speaker natukwata ba Bwalyamu ba chairperson ba Ingwa wabala to join from Belgium elo natukwata na ba Sandra Ponde ni ba senior ecologist and abafuma ffe kuno kuine kulwapula kali panchitime okolesa pala okwebati eba secretary general kuchiputulwa cha convention of wetlands nomba nine fyelo baleshika bawishi bamumba bali kuno elo bali landireko napa fyo omutima wabo ufwaisha okusungirira efirengwa nalesa we are hoping okwebati limbi nabo okuti batu joina bakwebati bamufa ffe view yabo because aba ema tutwalanda shanat biologist bantu abachita ama PhD ukulolesha fye kuli biology ecosystem nabo kuti batupanda kwa mano so through virtually natukwata kwena ama experts abengi abachitira express willingness yakwe bati balandeko pali iyi topic kashkulomba fye kwe bati kwena bakonfoesu abalefu okusangwa kolero tabaliko natukwata virtual link kali mwisaka mano kwe bati twaikala ensaka tatwitira abantu yite ensaka ni public hearing elo nomba tukesaikala ensaka ewe bonse abo chikumine na bashamfumu bonse kukaba okwita na mkwai.
Okay, that was the executive director for Care for Nature, Madam Samam Sondekens, and we were discussing the issue of transferring the waters of Wakula to Kafue River, which is the project that the government wants to embark on. Of course, they have announced that they have already started the feasibility studies. I want to thank you, Madam, for coming through at short notice. And we encourage everyone who can manage to attend the meeting so that you can make your own submissions. So they meet at 14 hours Mansa Hotel. Am I right?
Yes, please. And thank you very much. Na totela sana kuliba KFM okupela kwa kashita. Nokulomba fyo kwa tina 14 hours ine twisa tube bonse limbi kuti mwaposa kwa matamba pachilimba pakwe bataba likutali nabo bamfwako efeto akulala nshanya muli meeting.
Of course, I will also transmit what is going to be happening at Mansa Hotel around 14 hours. We'll transmit it on this radio station. This has been Jack Mwapembulo on behalf of my guests. Join me on Monday for another edition of the Agenda program.
Thank you very much for the program. Not from